Okay, guys, my name is Dr. Jamal. Today I'm going to be talking about a drug called Remdesivir. We already know some information about this drug. Previously, it's been used to target the Ebola virus and also another virus called MERS, which stands for Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome. Currently, we're using or potentially using this medication to target the SARS-CoV-2 virus, which is now responsible for causing the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's just start out with some definition. Remdesivir is defined as a nucleotide analog specifically. It looks like adenosine, which is one of the building blocks that we use to make RNA. Remdesivir is also defined as a broad spectrum antiviral, meaning it can target more than one diseases that are caused by RNA viruses. In terms of its mechanism of action, it targets what's called RNA-dependent RNA polymerase, and this is the enzyme that is used by RNA viruses to make viral proteins. And I'll show you how this works. So essentially, if we can imagine that we're building an RNA molecule here. Let me put this one here. These are just different nucleotides that are used to make RNA molecule. And then we have another set of the nucleotides on this side that are almost going to be kind of mirror image of the nucleotides that are found on the bottom strand. So let's call this one the original template. And let's call this one new template. So essentially, there's going to be an enzyme. So the enzyme is going to sit somewhere over here. Let's just put it over here. And what it does is it's going to move down this way, and it's going to use this original template to make a new copy in this direction. Now, in the case of remdesivir, what happens is, let's say we have a nucleotide that looks kind of very similar to the other nucleotides, but it's slightly different. So what happens here is the enzyme is going to come down. It's going to make two or three more copies. So it will make 2 or 3 more copies, and eventually it's going to stop here. Okay, and this process is called delayed chain termination. So what happened there is, in biology, we have something called structure, which determines function. Let's say this structure here is a protein, and you start off from this structure, and the structure usually gives rise to a particular function in the form of protein. And if you get different structures, different molecules that are being integrated into this RNA structure, that means in this case you're going to stop producing, the RNA, but sometimes you can get different proteins, and that's how you can either help or mess up the biological processes. So clinically speaking, what this means is you prevent the viral replication, which means you have less viral load. So what that means is, clinically speaking, patients have decrease in fever, cough, so the different symptoms that the patients experience would go down, and also decrease in, say, things like shortness of breath. These are kind of classic symptoms that patients with COVID-19 kind of go through. So once you have the decrease in the amount of viral load, patients tend to feel better. So essentially what you're doing is by integrating Remdesivir into the RNA molecule, you're preventing one RNA from being converted to a different RNA. So essentially you're inhibiting this process, which means clinically this is what patients will experience: less in the degree of fever, cough, and also shortness of breath. So in terms of the efficacy of this drug, Remdesivir, where do we get the data? So where is the evidence? And I'm going to show you that one now. So recently, there is a study that was done at the University of Chicago. So basically what they did was they took 125 patients, and out of that they found that 113 patients had severe diseases, and they gave daily infusion of the medication Remdesivir, and of these 113 patients, around 111 patients felt better. Also, most of the patients were also discharged, and they were also taken off the vents. So meaning these are all good clinical outcomes. Around 2 patients died, which is not bad considering the number of patients with severe illnesses that they started out with. Now, the problem with this study is, for one, it's not published. And also the key issue here is you need something called RCT, which stands for randomized controlled trial. So basically what you do is you divide up your patient population into two, or the population of study into two, and then you have the treatment group here. Here we have the control group, and you give Remdesivir to this group, and this group, they they don't get any treatment. So, and over time, you kind of follow them and look at the patients that develop disease versus that don't develop the disease, and you compare the two patient population. And this type of study is the gold standard when it comes to clinical research and also medicine. And there are more than one sites that are actually doing exactly this type of studies. And once we get more information, we will be able to make a more definitive scientific judgment in terms of the efficacy and also the safety of this particular drug. So just to summarize, I'll just give you a summary here. So remdesivir is a nucleotide analog It also targets the replication of RNA by inhibiting the RNA polymerase, which is called RNA-dependent RNA polymerase. And currently, we're assessing whether the medication is effective. And also another key question is this medication safe? Meaning, looking at things like toxicity. In terms of efficacy, is this medication effective at reducing things like viral load? And also, do they help us control symptoms? So these are all the questions that are being worked out, but there's a lot of hype and also a lot of promise. There's strong evidence in terms of lab data and also data from animal model. So currently we're just waiting for randomized controlled trials, and within the next few months, we will be able to know more about this medication. But as far as, I guess, effective medications go, this is one of the medications that is on the top of the list in terms of our ability to address this pandemic and also have something that works at a molecular level. This medication is specifically designed to prevent the replication of RNA, unlike other medications like things like hydroxychloroquine, which do have some effect, at least in vitro, but those are not the medications that are designed to target the virus. And this is the medication that is specifically designed to target the virus itself.